Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Coach.
Start with a few comments here before we can get to your questions. Much more fun to win than the other option, obviously. But we've got a lot of young players and newcomers, and what we're doing is we're really self-evaluating harshly every Sunday after the ball game. So we took Saturday night's game, even though it was a good win for us, and looked at every possible thing that we could do a better job of, like you do each week. But we've been really harsh. Sometimes after you win, you walk out with your chest stuck out and think, oh, that's good. And you're not as tough on yourself. So we've been really hard with evaluations. Offensive player of the game was Sam Howell. Only the second time, along with Marquise Williams, that players had over 300 yards passing and over 100 yards rushing. So Sam looked like Sam on Saturday night and got back on track, and we protected him better. And he's doing a really good job with his legs of making plays, and really proud of his performance. Defensive player of the game, Miles Murphy. Miles had a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 more tackles. So that's his best performance since he's been playing for us. And British Brooks was the special teams player of the game. He blocked a punt, and then he ran down the fake punt and was all over the place. So he continues to do a really good job for us. Offensively, we for parts of the third quarter where we scored 21 points, that's who we want to be. That's the best we've looked this year. We were able to run it and throw it, and successfully got a rhythm and started looking like the offense that we remember from last year. Antoine Green made some tremendous catches. Hopefully this will give him the confidence to step up now, and along with Emory Simmons, take some pressure off of Josh Downs, because Josh just continues to play at a really high level, and he's going to start getting double teams unless the outside guys play. And the catches that Antoine made were great catches. They weren't good catches. Both the touchdown and the one where he turned around were outstanding catches. Proud for our tight ends that they had 7 catches. And our staff's getting the ball to them more. 4 different guys had 7 total catches. So that will help us and take some of the pressure off of the wide receivers as well. Joffrey made the great catch down in the end zone that was ruled out of bounds. But he also dropped the deep one, and we need Joffrey to come on and add to those numbers. But offensively, we felt like there were some times in the game that we looked at least like we did last year. Defensively, we forced 3 turnovers because we had the 1 interception, the 2 fourth down stops, and we count those as turnovers. We had 5 3 or 4 and outs, which were really good. We still got to create more sacks. We missed 7 tackles in space, and we're not getting the sacks that we need, even though they got the ball out of their hands quickly and we're more of an option team. But we've still got to improve in that area. Guys that played really well defensively were Ray Vahasek, Miles Murphy, as I mentioned, Kamen Rucker, all the inside linebackers, and Kyler McMichael had by far his best game. So we're really excited about him. We also were able to play guys less plays, and we think that's something that will really help us moving forward with our program. Miles Murphy, Bahasik, and Ritzy only played 28, and 26 plays. Asante played 36, and Cedric Gray played 15. So they got to play. Cedric got to play more and did a good job while he was in there, and that'll help rest our linebackers. And then freshmen like Power Eccles and Ra Dilworth played 19 plays. So they played a lot at the end of the game. And I was proud of the defense that the first and second defense held Georgia State to a little over 100 yards in 3 quarters. And then our young ones gave up the big run by the quarterback at the end of the game, which we were disappointed in, but they've got to learn how to play. But we were able to get a lot more guys in the ball game, and that excited us moving forward. Awesome Richards and Jordan Tucker played well. Josh Downs played well. And I mentioned Antoine Green. Also, Kamari Morales played by far his best game. So that was a real positive for us as well. We only had 1 penalty offensively. William Barnes was downfield on a pass. So we are starting to eliminate penalties. I think we had 3 for the game. Overall, you start looking at how hard it is to win. And you got to quit worrying about who's the best team. It's who's the best team on Saturday. Because every weekend now, and it seems like more and more, we see just shocking upsets. And you all saw them. I'm not going to go back over them, but it's real and it's here. So you can't worry about who you're playing. You better play good, and you got to play good every week to make sure that you get where you need to get. You just got to win, and winning is really, really important. As far as Virginia is concerned, and I am concerned about our injuries, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's our 3rd year. So we've got to start having guys ready to step up and play. I really hate it for Day Hollins. He's turned his life around. He's doing really well in school. He was becoming a legitimate corner for us where he could go in and play at any time. So I hate it for him. I hate it for us as a team, but I even hate it more for him because he's been so positive in everything he's done. Virginia's played really, really well. It's basically the same team that we've played for the last 2 years, with only the quarterback change from last year. Brennan Armstrong played against us last year and did a great job. And he's just a winner. He's tough. He's smart. He can throw the ball well in the pocket, but he can scramble and make plays down the field as well. They've got all 5 starters back from an offensive line that has 121 starts, and they rushed for 210 yards against us last year and held us to 210. So they were more physical than we were, and we had to battle just to hang in the game. And the game for the last 2 years has been good. It's come down to the last drive, and that's the type of rivalry that this is. Just looking at it, it's the South oldest rivalry. We've played Virginia 15 more times than anybody else in the ACC, and both went into the ACC in 1953. I'm not sure why they're not rated higher. They've outscored William and Mary in Illinois 85-14, and they've looked really, really good doing it. And it's the same team back from last year. So again, I think they should be rated higher than they are. Brennan Armstrong's completing 71% of his passes. He's got 7 touchdowns and passing and 2 rushing and 744 yards passing. And they've done a great job with the transfer portal. You start looking at the big tight end, Jelani Woods, 6'7", 270, and they hit him down the middle. And Thompson has been a tremendous player for them, coming from Mississippi State. They play him all over the place. He's played quarterback. He can play wide receiver. He's really a good player. Defensively, again, they held us to 93 yards last year. They had 5 sacks against us. We haven't done well against them in the red zone. We were 0 for 3 2 years ago and only 3 for 5 with touchdowns last year. And again, they've got Nick Mason, Taylor Blunt. They're big. They can run. They are a multiple defense because Bronco's got an experienced staff and they do a tremendous job coaching. And they get you in 3rd down and long, which we've been in a whole lot. And they're very multiple, and they give you a lot of problems. And they've got 7 starters returning on defense and 8 returning on offense. So it's an experienced team. We'll have our hands full. I did notice we were 9-4 at home after the weekend, and lost to number 1 Clemson, lost to number 2 Notre Dame, lost to App State, and lost to Virginia. So those are the 4 games that we've lost at home in our 2 years and 1 game coming back. Questions?
Thanks, Coach. If you have a question, please use the raise hand button. And we will begin today with Mike Barber. Go ahead, Mike.
Morning, Mack. Greetings from Virginia. I'm curious, it's such an unusual schedule to have 2 division games in your first 3 weeks. I know it's one game at a time and all those kind of things, but do you warn the guys against putting too much pressure on themselves, or do you talk about how pivotal this game could be, even though it's week 3?
Mike, they know it. I mean, these are smart kids on these 2 teams. You don't have to, you have to tell them to take a deep breath and get ready to play. It'll be a great game. But I don't like opening up on the road with a conference game. I wouldn't have done that. That was obviously our league and TV, and especially at a tough place to play. I'd rather Virginia's such a rival game. I'd rather it be pushed back in the schedule, because I think it builds up to that more than early. But nobody asked me, so I don't have any input whatsoever. I do feel like that after the opening ball game, we had to quit worry about rankings, and we had to quit worry about conference, and we had to play better and get back on track. So right now we've got enough issues. We're worried about us. We've got to figure out why we're inconsistent in the running game. We got to figure out why we still have sacks, and we're still missing tackles and not getting sacks. So we've got a lot of things we've got to fix, Mike, that we can't worry about. Virginia's playing much better than we are. Thank you.
Andrew Jones. Excuse me, Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I think you sort of just hit on about what I'm going to ask you. You said that you had some really hard evaluations coming out of a game like this. The score may camouflage some things that didn't go very well. What were a couple of things that stood out that concern you from this game that were also an issue in the first game as well?
Andrew, we screwed up, and we've got expectations entirely too high. When you win 59-17 and people are mad, things have moved on from 2 years ago where we won 2 games. So I do understand that without question. The questions for me coming off at halftime are, what's wrong? And we were up 24-10. I thought, what's wrong? I'm not sure. We got to look at it. So what we do is there was a stretch on offense in that third quarter. We scored 21 straight points and looked as good as we've looked since we've been here. So I'm really, really excited about that. The defense held them to 100-something yards. Only the one drive in the second quarter, the 75-yard drive, was a really nice drive by them. And I thought we played too many young guys and didn't substitute enough. We've got to be smart. We've got talented young guys, but you can't leave them out there forever. Let them play, let them grow up, and we'll start being able to play them more as the season goes on. But if they're moving the ball on you and those young guys are out there and they're getting a little bit winded, get them out. Get your starters back in the game and let them play. And then I thought our third quarter was the best quarter of football we've played this year. I still don't like the fact that we're not doing well on first downs. I checked it. We've thrown 34 or 32 times on first down, and we've run 32 times on first down. So we've been very, very balanced with our first down calls. But we're going back and looking at every call in the ball game. We're looking at every play in our 2 ball games. And if there is penetration, if there is a run that's less than 4 yards, why? Because a successful run is 4 yards. And we're going back and studying exactly why. We're looking at first down runs against our defense again, so you can try to get to a second long, a third and long. And then you're looking at I didn't mention the kicking game. I should have. We blocked a punt for the first time in 3 years. I thought that was against the rules, the NCAA rules, and we checked it and they said it was okay. So we actually blocked one, but we're not returning them. We still haven't had a punt return, and Josh Downs is a weapon. So we've got to do a better job, and it's basically because we're not holding up their gunners well. So that's a concern. I was really proud of the fact that Georgia State had a tremendous design on their fake punt. That sucker, a run and an option. that if our guys hadn't had speed and been aware, run it down, that would have been a first down, and they nearly made it anyway. So I was proud that we stopped the we stopped the fake punt. Our punter did a great job. He had a 53-yard punt. We covered it well, and they had to have a fair catch. And then even Cole Maynard, our freshman punter, got in to have a chance to do it. And Jonathan Kim kicked the ball over the goal line every time on kickoffs. We did miss a field goal. So I think inconsistency on offense again, trying to get more pressure on the quarterback, even though there's got it out of his hands fast, still stopping the run on first down and making sure that they were making 4+ yards on first down. And the one issue of trying to return more punts are the things that we're looking at mostly.
You also mentioned the special teams after the game the other night, some areas that you're seeing improvement in. How much do you attribute this to the fact that the guys had time with Coach DeWitt and they're better understanding the terminology and the philosophy that he has for special teams, which might be a little different from what they had seen before?
Yeah, Andrew, I think it's three things. Number one, Coach DeWitt's really good. He's one of the best in the country at what he does. Number two, he has had a year to study our personnel and practice all of the kicking game full speed in spring practice. And we did that more than we've ever done it before. And then thirdly, we've got more players. We got more depth and faster players. So even some of the freshmen that are on kick teams will get better each week, but they're just so inexperienced. But we've got to start winning games on special teams. We're doing really well. And we've been better than the other two teams in our first two ball games. But let's go win a game. Blocking punts helps you win games. Return punts helps you win games. We had kickoff returns. There were some questions about that last week. When they're not going to be able to kick it out of the end zone, we will return. And especially if we think there's things there, and we had opportunities on kickoff returns that we didn't get accomplished because we messed it up. So it was good that we have got it on video now, and we've gotten some live work against an opponent so we can improve in that area as well.
Thank you.
Over to CL Brown.
Hi, Mac. How much does the success of Sam running the ball on Saturday added to the fact that the running game hasn't probably popped off like you would like it to so far? Does that lend to possibly giving Sam more opportunities, more called opportunities to run moving forward?
It does, CL. We even moved the quarterback some in the third quarter on bootlegs and naked plays and getting Sam on the corner, and that really helped us as well. But I do feel like that we need to get him to slide more. He still likes to be physical, and I want him to go down unless it's on the goal line or a fourth and short where he's got to make the line to gain. But I feel like that he's running so much better. What a great run for the 60-something yard run for a touchdown. When I was screaming, get down, until he didn't, and then he scored. But he's a valuable runner for us. And that's obviously going to be a huge part of our running game this year because of the two guys we lost. And that's good, and that's okay. We had Vince Young and Colt McCoy both at Texas, who were valuable runners for us and ran for a bunch of yards. And people gripe because traditionally we're supposed to have running backs making the yards and quarterbacks throwing the ball, and it doesn't matter. You got to win. And Sam now has become an outstanding runner, and that also should help his stock moving forward because he is not hesitant to take it down and run with it. We just want him to take care of himself.
And this next question, I promise I'm not trying to get you fined, but in these first two games.
But you are. Don't ever listen until somebody says but or however, and then you know they're going to give you the question. So I got to the but. So go ahead and get me fined.
These first two games, you guys have had some calls that have gone up to replay, and the call on the field ended up standing, even though from looking at it, my personal view, looking at it on TV replay, it seemed like the call should have been reversed a couple of times. I was just wondering if you were noticing any kind of trend, or if you feel any particular way about that in terms of it maybe even pressure on officials just to uphold, without some kind of substantial, egregious mistake being made on the field, that they're just going to stay with what's called on the field in normal time.
CL, I absolutely agree with you. And I think that it seems like that the call on the field is going to stand unless it's just so overwhelmingly obvious on TV that it was not. And that's why we're still leaning so much on the officials' call that I wonder why do we have instant replay? I've always felt like we should have one of our strongest officials in the booth, and he should be evaluating the call, because all we want is the call to be right and to be fair to the kids on the field. And if we're going to lean so heavily on what is called on the field, then we're trusting the call on the field more than instant replay. Why waste all of our time with instant replay? And so I'm in total agreement with you. And I don't think that gets me fined, because I'm not questioning the call. I'm questioning our process. And I really feel like that's something that should be reevaluated nationally.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Mac, this offseason, Bronco Mendenhall said a couple times that he felt like his offense could be the best that he's had in Charlottesville. You touched on Virginia's experience and what they have coming back. Are there any other changes that you've seen for that offense for them to function as well as they have thus far?
Yeah, that big tight end. They've done a great job with the transfer portal. It hasn't been our deal, but each year, I think they brought in 9 guys this year, and you start bringing in tight ends that are 6'7", 270 that can run and catch. And he was a real factor last week in what I saw last night of their Illinois video. He's a huge presence. And Brennan's such a good quarterback that he's so accurate that you start getting that big target across the middle, it changes everything. So they bring in a huge target in Thompson. They bring in a huge target in Woods, and that makes a difference. And it changes their whole program. So they've done a good job. They've got a good team. All these guys are back from 2 years ago. But then you add guys each year, like these big, tall guys, and it sure makes a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach Brown, you said after the game on Saturday, you're going to be up all night trying to figure out, some of the issues with the offensive line and the run game. I was wondering, and you said you looked at all the tape today and every play. I was wondering, kind of what you see with the offensive line and some of the running issues and some of the pressure that the opposing defensive line is getting on y'all.
Yeah, Ross, I think we're unfair when we just say offensive line, because it may be blocking by receivers. It may be a tight end that let a guy get inside. It may be a running back that missed a cut. It may be that Sam took the wrong check. It may be that Sam held the ball too long. So it's so simple for us to say offensive line stunk. Those guys were bad. And then it's not always that. And you can't, I sit down with our offensive staff. I go over every negative play. And I want to see who is it and why is it. One thing Coach Bowden taught me, and he said, don't keep practicing bad stuff. So if something's not working, change it or throw it out. I mean, if maybe because the 2 backs left, we can't run this one play like we did last year. Maybe Javonte was just different, and those guys had so many yards after contact last year. But the biggest thing is just keep looking at every little thing that you're doing. There's no question that the offensive line being banged up with the Zudu and Brian Anderson has hurt us. That's our 2 best players up front. Brian's a quarterback. He runs everything, and he played the other day, but he didn't play as well because he'd been hurt. But we knew more what to do. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just going back and looking at it. Each year you're a different team. You've got some different personalities. You've got some new players, and and you've just got to continue to reevaluate and not make the same mistakes. And like I said, in the third quarter on Saturday night, offensively, scoring 21 straight points, that was the first time I felt good about our offense this year. And I actually felt confident that we were going forward and had some rhythm and we're all on the same page. And the other thing we felt, I kept Sam in one more series after the Power Eccles interception, because I just wanted him to keep getting confidence and keep doing things. In retrospect, I probably should have put the young quarterbacks in because we needed them to play. And I wanted to get Drake to throw some, and he didn't get to. He only had the 3 plays at the end of the game. And the other thing that we've changed is when we put a young quarterback in, he's going to play. It'll be the regular offense, and we're going to throw it, and regardless of the score, because those 2 guys got to get ready to play. I've said I think we'll have a chance to be even a better team next year, but these 2 young quarterbacks are really special. But we've got to get them ready to go. So that'll be another thing we're looking at.
Adam Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Mac, wanted to ask you about Antoine Green. With a guy like him who hasn't played a ton over the course of his career, and is somebody that you want to step up and need to step up, and you've told us what you all need him to do. How do you go about encouraging him, just you personally, or the coaches one-on-one? Like, is he a guy that needs to be loved up? How do you go about trying to get out of him what you need out of him in terms of the way you talk to him and encourage him?
Yeah, Adam, I guess he broke his leg before we got here. And then last year he had a really bad pull. So he's been hurt so much, and he hasn't been able to gain confidence because of his injuries. So Saturday night, I walked over and told him nobody will catch 2 better balls than those 2 that he caught. The one where he turned around is a really, really hard catch on the deep ball. And that was an outstanding catch in the end zone, where he really had to reach out and dive for it. Those are big time catches. The other one was a really good catch as well. So I told him, you have officially grown up, man. You have shown tonight the kind of player you can be. So I said, I'm going to be on you every minute of every day moving forward for you to be this guy. This is who you are now. It's not the one we've seen in the past. And he had a big smile on his face. So I expect him to step up and be a big time player. We've been waiting on another receiver to step up. He did that Saturday night, and hopefully some of the other guys will do it as well. But I'm so proud of him, and we really need him right now. So I think this is his time, and that's what good programs do. When you lose a great player like Diami, somebody steps up. When you lose a great player like Daz, somebody steps up. And Josh has done that at slot, but we haven't done it outside yet. So now you've got Emory Simmons and Antoine that can play, and other guys. You need Chaffrey to come on, and he made the great catch, like we said, on the goal line, and then drops one right in his hand. So we need him to get the confidence, and we need both of those guys to keep coming for us to be the team we want to be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, we'll close up with Coach Brown this morning with Mike Barber. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Mac, if I could sneak one more in. Bronco was pretty candid this week about throwing so much out there offensively to make it hard for the next opponent. How much time, is not wasted, but is spent on 4 different quarterbacks on the field and the pre-snap stuff? How much work is that, and how much does it take away from your focus?
Mike, they're very unique in their offense, and Coach and I has done a great job everywhere he's been. I remember him in the past, and we've played these guys at Brigham Young twice, and just watching them, they do a tremendous job, and they do a lot of stuff. I don't know how they practice it all, but again, we've got to be us. We've just got to go play. And if you spend all your time trying to chase the eye candy and all the stuff moving around, you're not going to do a very good job. So it still gets back to being sound, and what they've done for the last 2 years been more physical than we were last year, for sure. And I think it's more about how you play than all of the things that you're doing. So you just got to play. still got to block and tackle. You still got to find the guy that's got the ball in space and make sure you make tackles. They've done like I said, they've done a great job of utilizing their personnel on both sides of the ball. And they've done a great job with the portal. They've just found guys that are really good for their program, and they bring them in and they play and they fit. And I don't know how you do that. That hadn't been my deal. So I'm not very good at the transfer portal. But they've really utilized it well. And Bronco's a good person. He goes by the rules. They work hard. His teams play hard. He brings in nice kids. They're smart. So they're a team that you enjoy playing because he's going to go by all the rules, and he's going to have good kids, and they're going to play hard. And when you play his teams, you better be ready to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, guys and ladies. Good morning. Mark, the other thing I'll say, and I don't know if I said this or not, Virginia should be rated higher than they are. They should be rated higher than we are. I mean, they've dominated 2 games. So I don't know what people are missing there, but it's I don't think they're being fair to them.